Welcome to day 27 of my 30-day engagement series. My name is Sean Aaron, he, him, his. And today, if you here with me, today is an exclusive. And so this reflection series has been about Black trans visibility because visibility equals possibility. It's been about me showing up, being vulnerable, my raw reactions, unrehearsed, unscripted. And so a lot of times I read my question that I wrote down for the day and I press record and I reflect. Sometimes I know what I'm going to say. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I shift. Sometimes I pivot. Some of the days I'm like, oh, that was a good recording. And some of the days I'm like, that was all right. Right. Some of the days I'm like, after I press in, I'm like, oh, damn, I should have said something else. But today, um, I feel like it's the rawest I've been, the most vulnerable I've been. And the question for today is, what would you tell your younger self about who you have become today? So I got my tissues, y'all, because I might need it on this one. And that's okay, because that's a human emotion. If you've been rocking with me for 26 days, I just want to say thank you. If today is your first day, today is a good day to be your first day, because today is the foundation of all of the other days. It's the foundation of who I am as a person and who I have become, which is in reflection to this question. And I talk a lot about harm that has been caused to me as I grew up. I talk about the physical abuse and the verbal abuse. And growing up, I thought that, oh, that's just, getting a whooping is what everybody get, right? I just like, oh, that's a black thing, or I don't know. It's just you think that, my cousins got a whooping, my brothers got a whooping, my mom got a whooping. Like whooping a child is okay. I've learned that whooping a child is not okay, and that's physical abuse. And that's just my personal belief. This is my reflection series. And so I'm just sharing what I believe. You can discipline your children in the ways that you feel comfortable. But I know with me raising my son, spanking my son was just off the table. I woke up every day with the intention to raise him in a gentle way, in ways that I wasn't talked to, or I wasn't raised, or I wasn't explained to why I was in trouble or whatever. So I say that this is an exclusive because the one thing that I would tell my younger self about who I have become is your healing is on the horizon. And when I was homeless in my car, I didn't think I was going to even live to be 44 like I am today. I didn't even think I was going to live to be 19 or 20. And this is a harsh reality of queer folks, trans folks. We know that a large majority of folks that are unhoused are queer and trans folks. And if you take away nothing from this series, take away what I'm going to say today. Because when I say this is an exclusive, I'm going to read something that has been a part of my healing, but it's also very emotional to me. And it's a letter that I wrote, and it's titled Dear Mama. And it's a part of, I want to say that a book that I'm writing about my life, but who knows if that book will ever come out. I hope that one day that it will, where I can jot down my journey. But in the process, I have been writing bits and pieces of it and hoping to one day put it together into a collection of writing. And I want to also say that even though within these days, within these episodes of Dem Bois podcast, I talk about Dem Bois podcast on this reflection series all the time. And even within these videos, I talk a lot about things that my mother may have done. But I want to say current day, our relationship is in the healing phase, in the rebuilding phase. Years ago, this one older gentleman told me when he learned about the dynamic of me and my mother. He said, the only way to your healing is if you forgive. Don't forget, but forgive. And he was like, your mom is set in her ways. And the only way to shift that is if you shift because you're open and willing to shift. That blew my mind. And I talked about this previous video that I hadn't talked to my mom in years. And so when he told me that, it kind of like opened my mind to this journey of healing and healing our past relationship and the things that I held on to of what I thought that a parent should be, and to move on and be like, this is what I got, and I have to unpack this and not to cause more harm in the future when I have my own children. And so I was just featured in a documentary. And so this letter that I wrote, I actually read it within this documentary. And so this documentary is following trans folks in their lives. And so my particular part in this film, in this documentary, is I am telling about my life and how it helped to build who I am today and how it shaped my leadership and the foundation of Dem Bois Inc. I'm the founder and executive director of Dem Bois Inc. And so it goes back to what shaped me and my work and also my transition as a Black trans man. And so I wrote this poem. It's not a poem, actually, it's a letter. And so the exclusive is I'm going to read it here today. Now, this was unplanned, unrehearsed, but when I think about the question today of what would I tell my younger self, everything that I would tell my younger self is here in this letter. And I got my little tissues, right? And so just in case, but I've read this multiple times in multiple situations at this point, but I haven't read it to the world. And so this opens up not just for folks who have experienced similar journeys, but this message could also be for parents who may be watching this, who want to know how to navigate their relationship with their children. Maybe it's been severed, maybe it's been broken, or maybe it hasn't evolved yet, and you want to know how to build a healthier relationship with your queer or trans child. And it don't even have to be a child. We're talking like 8 or 9. It could be somebody that's 30 years old, right? That's still your child. It's still a part of you that you brought into this world, that you raised, that you nurtured, and it gives room for resolve. It gives room for repair. And so I'm going to read this letter, and I can't say how I'm going to react while reading it, but I do know once I'm done reading it, and so I might as well do it now. I would love for you to comment. What are your reactions to this letter? And also drop some wisdom that you would tell your younger self about who you are today. I would love to hear from you. So to start the letter, and I want to say that I'm very open. I've shared my story on multiple platforms. I've been on multiple podcasts sharing my story. And so one of the things that's not triggering for me is my birth name. I've moved on past that. I won't say it in this reading, but I will not also say my parents' name. I'll just give their initials. Oh, I do say my birth name in this letter. Excuse me. That's my mistake. I have no problems with that. None whatsoever. And so let's get into it. This letter is also about healing. It's about vulnerability. And it's about letting go so that my younger self can breathe. So here we go. Dear Mama, this is a story about Sean Aaron. Sean Aaron was born March 23rd, 1981 to PW and ESH. Sean is a Black, queer, trans man. Born and named Alicia Shante Hill, but never really understood nor fully embraced that name. Being feminine was something I could never get into because it never truly belonged to me. I am writing this letter because the words I am about to say have been buried in my heart for years. And in order to continue growing into the man I am meant to be, I need to emotionally set free. I am not writing for blame, I am writing for release. I know you may not remember some of the things I share, or maybe you see them differently. But I ask that you listen with an open heart, not just to understand me, but to allow yourself to grieve the memory of the daughter you thought you had. And maybe, just maybe, make room for the son you have always had. You may never call me your son. I have come to terms with that. But this letter, this is my way of honoring the truth, my truth. Growing up in your home felt more like surviving than living. Love was conditional. Pain was normal. I do not know if you ever saw it that way. I do not know what love looked like for you as a child. I just know that for me, it looked like whoopings, being told I was too much or not enough, being hit, being hurt, and being expected to carry it all in silence. You taught me fear long before you taught me love. And yet, I still wanted your love. I still do. This is the complicated part. That even now, I carry this ache for a mother and child relationship I never truly had, for safety I never knew, for a version of home that never existed. When you put me out because of who I loved, you did not just make me homeless, you broke something in me. You confirmed what I always feared, that your love had limits, that your child's safety and dignity had a boundary, and I had crossed it. 9 days after turning 18, I was left to figure out adulthood alone. I was not prepared for the cold, the hunger, the shame, or the constant ache of being unwanted. I became a man out of necessity, not nurture. That is what adulting looked like for me. Not an apartment with matching furniture or a degree on the wall. It was sleeping in my car for 2.5 years with everything I owned stuffed in the trunk. It was trying to stay warm through the night. It was brushing my teeth in public restrooms or not even at all. It was hiding my pain behind a brave face and convincing myself I would make it to another day. It was learning how to protect myself in a world that I felt had already written me off. There were days when the silence felt louder than the chaos, when I sat in the car with nothing but my thoughts. Shame was my shadow. I questioned everything, my worth, my existence, my ability to be loved. The world outside my windshield kept moving. I stuck in time. I felt stuck in time like I had been erased. What people do not understand that homelessness is not just about losing a roof. It's about losing your reflection. It is about waking up and not recognizing who you are because you are surviving, not living. Every morning was a negotiation with myself. Do I give up today or do I hold on a little longer? I carried this trauma inside me for years. The trauma I dare not talk about much because I was too busy pretending to be okay. But the truth is, I was grieving. Not just the home I lost, but my mother, my family, my friends, my safety, and the childhood that was taken before I even knew how to dream. Still, I made a decision. I decided that my story would not end in that car. I decided I would not let my trauma define the man I would become. I found therapy. I found language. I found community. And little by little, I started reclaiming pieces of myself that had been buried under years of neglect, rejection, and survival. I'm not here because I was strong. I'm here because I chose to keep showing up. I chose to keep living, and in doing so, I found purpose. I became a reflection of the kind of love I never received. I built something out of nothing. I found a way to turn pain into power and silence into a platform. And now I'm telling my story. I'm writing it down not to hurt you, but to heal myself, to give voice to the younger me who thought he was unlovable, to show other black and brown, queer and trans youth that they are not alone, and that even when your parents fail you, your life is still worthy. Your story is still sacred. I'm not a broken girl. I'm a man who had to rebuild himself from the ashes. I had to become the kind of parent I needed, compassionate, gentle, consistent. I had to learn how to be soft with myself, even though the world and you taught me hardness. This letter is not about asking for an apology. I gave up on that a long time ago. But if you have read this far, I hope you know I'm not angry anymore. I'm just honest. I am healing and I am free. In truth and transformation, Sean Aaron. So, excuse me, that was the letter that I wrote to my mother. And with that letter, I was able to tell my younger self that healing has arrived. Once again, my name is Sean Aaron, he, him, his.